How's it going, everyone? We gotta talk about one of everyone's favorite games of 2024, a game so many people were happy to get with their PlayStation Plus Essential catalog in January. I think the sarcasm has run its course. I've been kind of spamming this gimmick a little bit too much, but Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, its final patch and content update. I should say its last content update, because they could still be patching the game with like UI fixes and things like that. I should say, game fixes and whatnot, but as far as content goes, given that this was expected to be this massive live service game, kind of interesting that the last update is coming just a year after the release of the game. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is going to be getting its last content update with Episode 8 patch version 1.022. New gear in Episode 8 is going to be coming, and you'll be able to explore more of the medieval Elseworld in Episode 8, balanced with twists on familiar sites and new locations. You take your quest to the Quarry, a fortified citadel you'll have to besiege if you wish to triumph over the tyrant Brainiac. The arena is a perfect place for jousting tournaments or interdimensional warfare, and the statues of King Jor-El and Queen Lara Lorvan will sure be able to inspire awe for this age of chivalry and honor. I don't know if there's anything inspiring awe at a Suicide Squad these days. A plethora of bug fixes and gameplay changes as well. Actually, one notable gameplay change: reduce the duration of Deathstroke's Suicide Strike against certain enemies to be closer in line with other characters. Man, Suicide Squad is just one of the most depressing video game releases of all time. I think it's more depressing than Concord, just on the basis that Concord is one of many games that PlayStation publishes, and that is a PlayStation published game. It was done by a new studio. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, on the other hand, was a game done by Rocksteady. Again, as I've mentioned, a studio that was absolutely beloved in the late 2000s and mid-2010s, and let me reiterate, because I saw somebody comment on it. Me going into the release of Batman Arkham Asylum in 2009, I was not expecting that game to be good. I was 12 years old, and at that point, you guys, what I had been exposed to was a bunch of trash superhero movie tie-in games. Yes, you would get a couple of good titles and licensed games like Ultimate Spider-Man, and nobody forget about X-Men Origins Wolverine. That game was effing awesome, but for the most part, the superhero games that I had been exposed to were trash, and Rocksteady completely changed the narrative, and now look at the narrative around superhero titles. Spider-Man's crushing it. The Batman games, if they decide to go back to it, if they do a new Batman Arkham, it would immediately reignite interest, and Wolverine's coming out, and you've got so many other titles in development. Marvel's Blade, obviously. It's been more so a Marvel thing than anything else, but for me, Batman Arkham Asylum was the game that changed my perception on what superhero games, and more so licensed games, could be. I thought that game was phenomenal, and I thought Arkham City was even better, and Arkham Knight was a really good game as well. So to see them go from that, and remember, 2009 to 2015 was when the entire Arkham trilogy dropped. Arkham Origins also dropped at that point, but that was done by WB Montreal, so it was a little bit different. But in a 6-year window, they dropped Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. Rocksteady was MIA for 9 years. Much longer than the time frame that it took to get out the entire Arkham trilogy, and this is the pile of trash that they offer to you. And again, I've said that maybe me saying that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a pile of trash might be a little bit of a stretch. However, relative to Batman Arkham, it may as well be a pile of trash, and it is a PlayStation Plus Essential title for the month of January. What I want you guys to assess is not the fact that whether or not this game is good and you should play it. It's really is a game worth your time. Like, when you're talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, this is one of those games you value at sub $3. Like, if it was not a plus free title, I would say do not pay over $3 to $5 for a game like this. And that's insane. This game came out January of last year, but I'm capping it at a $3 to $5 price point. At that point, when you get to that price threshold, it is a game worth your time. And is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League some decent open world fun that you can have while listening to a podcast so you can check out from the story because the story's a pile of trash? okay, fine, yeah, maybe it'll be fine for that, but that's where the buck stops. That's where Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League ends, and you're talking about that's where Rocksteady has devolved into as far as the games that they're dropping from the Arkham trilogy. When in history has a game development studio swung in quality that hard? I'm sure it's happened. You can look at a Mass Effect Andromeda as well, but I feel like the swing and the fall off in quality from one game to the next in Rocksteady is just astronomical. It really is insane when you sit down and think about it. And I remember when Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came out. Now, I have a thing where I try to play every major release every year. So when I talk about me playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a lot of people I've seen in the comments be like, oh, your fault for playing this pile of trash. Well, I'm trying to cover video games on this channel, so I try to be well-versed in everything. I try to play everything. But Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I'm playing this game back in early 2024 in the middle of this boss fight. This boss fight's terrible. I get booted out of the game. Mind you, I'm playing solo, totally solo, because the Suicide Squad servers went down. My internet connection didn't go down. The Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League servers went down. Oh, what happens? I get booted from the game. I gotta do this pile of trash boss fight all over again. This game not having an offline component right off the bat was egregious, and we all know why it didn't have an offline component. It's so they can inundate you with these ads on these microtransactions, because ultimately that's what they wanted out of the game. Warner Brothers, do not make it do not get it twisted. They wanted to drop this game at $70. They wanted to drop this game with fake early access. They did that. And guess what? They wanted to monetize this game for years and years and generate revenue for years and years with this pile of crap. I just don't understand how you can be this out of touch. And I get it, when a game's been in the oven for so long, you kind of just have to release the game. It's kind of like the Concord situation. Like, by the time Concord was ready to be released, I'm sure PlayStation was well aware of the fact that, yo, this game ain't finna do too hot, but you might as well release it. Same thing with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. You burned a bunch of millions of dollars, you might as well release it at this point. I'm so curious to see where Rocksteady goes from here, because it's gonna be incredibly important. I think if Warner Brothers just said, hey, Rocksteady, go do a new Batman game, we'll title it Batman Arkham Revenge or something like that, Arkham Rising Revengeance. Yo, bro, just take that name. Call it Batman Arkham Rising Revengeance, and, you know, it'll be great. Hopefully it will be great, and the thing is, you can say, oh, Rocksteady is composed of a lot of different people, but that was the case with Suicide Squad, and they still promoted the game as coming from the creators of Batman Arkham, so they're gonna promote the game as coming from the creators of Batman Arkham once again. I mean, it's a new Batman Arkham game, and people will inherently be interested. If you want to revitalize Rocksteady as a studio, that's how you do it. You'll get people interested in the game. Unfortunately, they did just deal with layoffs as well, so hopefully they figure things out. I'm not asking for people to lose their jobs and whatnot. These are livelihoods that are being affected, but this is just a consequence of being so out of touch, and all of that, they finally introduced an offline component on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League last month. It took them 11 months to get an offline component in this game that should have been available at launch. Like, I should have an absolute meltdown over that, because it's insane. You couldn't even do the solid. How long does it take to implement an offline mode? You wanted to do your content updates and your seasonal updates, but when you were ready to pull the plug on the game, when it was ready to go to PlayStation Plus, that's when you finally introduced an offline mode. Like, it's just so transparently scummy to me, from the get-go, what this game was doing, and it is literally everything from a business standpoint that I detest about gaming these days. And the thing about it is, it's from a studio that was absolutely beloved. That is the most asinine part to me. Like, it's one thing when X studio puts out these games and they're just another studio. It's Rocksteady, you guys. If you're my age or you grew up in the late 2000s and into the 2010s, Rocksteady could do no wrong. They were absolutely beloved, much like a BioWare, and it's just sad. It's honestly just sad to see the fall off this hard when it comes to a game like that. But you know, this is gonna be one of those games that 10 years from now, there's gonna be 30-minute documentaries being created about how terrible this game was, how
awful it was, the development of the game, 9 years to get it out. Like, it's insanity, and I get it, Rocksteady was going through some things as far as a tumultuous development cycle. I mean, the world went to hell, and that doesn't help either, but man, what a disaster, what a train wreck, one of the biggest train wreck video game releases of all time. And it, honestly, while this game is more upsetting to me than Concord is without a doubt the biggest disaster. I mean, that game is at another level as far as disasters go, but to me, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is the more depressing game release. And it's honestly, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League may be one of the most depressing game releases for me of all time, because it showcases everything wrong with gaming. $70 price tag, which is whatever, games getting more expensive, I get it, but for the shift from Batman Arkham and then adopting the $70 price tag, fake early access, the live service gimmick being attached to a franchise or a development studio that prior, their games weren't about this live service nonsense and trying to nickel and dime the player and trying to get as much money from them as possible. It's just, man, it's so depressing, but what can you do? I think it's one of the most depressing video game releases of all time, but that's gonna do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thank you for watching. Sound off in the comments, and goodbye.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.